Have you ever looked at the Great Pyramids and just wondered, how? How did an ancient civilization build something so gigantic, so perfect? Well, it's one of the greatest mysteries in history, and today we're going to try and solve it.
I mean, just look at them. For 4,500 years, they've been standing there. To give you an idea of how long that is, they were already ancient wonders to the ancient Romans. Mind-blowing, right?
Okay, let's talk numbers. The Great Pyramid alone is built from more than 2 million massive stone blocks. That's 2.3 million to be exact, and every single one was cut and placed by hand. And these aren't just little bricks. The average block weighs 2.5 tons. That's about the same as a big SUV. So just imagine trying to build a mountain by stacking millions of cars. It sounds impossible. So that's the big puzzle. The ancient Egyptians didn't have any of our modern machines. No giant cranes, no power tools. So how in the world did they do it? Let's dig into the clues and solve this incredible engineering mystery. All right, so for a very long time, the most popular answer was pretty simple: giant ramps. But you know what? When you look closer at the evidence, those old ideas just kind of fall apart.
One idea was that they built a single, massive, straight ramp all the way to the top. Sounds logical, but here's the problem. Scientists did the math, and that ramp would have needed more stone and mud than the entire pyramid. You literally have to build a second pyramid just to construct the first one. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so what about a ramp that spirals around the outside, like a giant corkscrew? Well, just try to imagine turning a sharp corner with an SUV-sized block on a narrow ledge. It's almost impossible. Plus, a ramp like that would cover up the corners of the pyramid, and the builders needed those corners to be perfectly aligned. So that theory doesn't really work either. And here is the biggest problem. If these enormous ramps existed, where did all the material go after they were done? Archaeologists have looked and looked, but they've never found enough leftover stuff to prove it. The evidence simply isn't there. So this means we need a new theory, one that actually fits the facts and shows that the Egyptians used something more powerful than just muscle: their incredible brains. This is all about simple machines and some truly brilliant engineering. First, you have to understand that a pyramid isn't just a solid pile of blocks. It's actually built around a core of huge steps on the inside, kind of like a giant hidden staircase. This made the whole structure super stable and was the absolute key to how they built it. So the building process probably had 3 main stages. First, they built that strong inner step pyramid. Then they put up platforms around it to add the smooth white outer stones that made it shine. And last, they put the final stone on top, the capstone, and polished the whole thing on their way down. So you see, the real secret probably wasn't one giant long ramp. Instead, it was lots of smaller, much steeper ramps that went from one step of that inner core up to the next one. It was a way smarter, way more efficient system.
But wait a second, that brings up a new question, right? Pulling an SUV-sized block up a gentle slope is hard enough. How could they possibly drag it up a really steep one? That sounds even harder.
Well, the clue was hidden deep inside the Great Pyramid all along. Archaeologists found these amazing grooves inside one of the chambers, and they realized these grooves were used to hold wooden logs, or rollers, which acted as a simple machine to help move massive granite blocks. This is huge. It proves they understood this kind of technology. And that leads to the brilliant solution. At the top of each short, steep ramp, they could have placed a simple wooden winch, basically a big log that you can turn. By wrapping ropes around it, a small group of workers could multiply their strength and easily pull a huge block up to the next level. It's not magic, it's just really, really clever physics. So now that we have a pretty good idea of how they built the pyramids, we can ask an even more interesting question. Why? Why go to all this trouble? And the story really starts with a pharaoh named Sneferu, who was a master builder. Check out this timeline. In just 100 years, they went from building simple, layered pyramids to the perfect, smooth-sided ones we see at Giza. That's an incredible leap in technology, and most of it happened under the reign of that one king, Sneferu. Now, Sneferu built two huge pyramids right next to each other, the famous Bent Pyramid and the Red Pyramid. For a long time, people thought they were just separate attempts. But new research suggests they were actually planned to be built together as one enormous symbolic project. In fact, we think an ancient name for the site was the Two Pyramids, the Crowns of Sneferu. And that's a massive clue. It tells us these buildings weren't just tombs. They were powerful symbols of the pharaoh's kingship. And that power wasn't just about ruling on Earth. It was cosmic. The pyramids were designed to connect the king to the heavens, to create a kind of reflection of the sky right here on the ground. You see, the pharaoh actually wore two crowns to show he ruled all of Egypt. The white crown symbolized the south, and the red crown symbolized the north. But these crowns also had a connection to the sky. The white crown was linked to the moon and stars, while the red crown was linked to the powerful red glow of the sunrise. The red crown was a direct symbol of the sun being reborn every single morning. So Sneferu's red pyramid, which is made from a reddish kind of limestone, was like a giant permanent sunrise built out of stone, a physical representation of that cosmic event. So when you put it all together, you realize these were so much more than tombs. They were like giant resurrection machines. They were built to align the pharaoh's spirit with the sun and the moon, helping him join their eternal cycles so he could live forever. By combining modern science with a real understanding of what the ancient Egyptians believed, we can finally start to see how and why the pyramids were built. It's amazing, and it makes you wonder, what other secrets of the ancient world are just waiting for us to look at them in a new way?